Hello everyone and welcome back to the Everton Heritage Show on a non-match day, which is unusual for us, but we are still here at the Hill Dickinson Stadium. Some of you will recognise us being in the club shop upstairs on the east stand, and if you look over my shoulder you might have a little clue as to who our guest is today. It's not Wayne Rooney, by the way, but Wayne, if you're watching, we will have you in. Over my left shoulder, you'll be able to see where we usually are over in the David Rollo building above the Blue House. We'll be in there shortly, but first let's go and take a quick look over here at some of this amazing memorabilia. Now, the memorabilia in this display case is owned by our good friend Brendan Connolly, who you will remember from St Luke's having the memorabilia stall upstairs at our exhibition centre over the past 15 years or so. And the stuff in here is incredible. I do encourage you, next time you're at the ground, if you're doing a stadium tour or just coming on match day, come up here and have a look. I'm looking at the European Cup Winners' Cup medal here, Division 1 Championship medal from 1928, programmes, some very personal items as well, passports belonging to Dixie Dean and Howard Kendall. I believe that one has the stamp in it on its way to Bilbao. Loads of signed memorabilia in here, as well as a lovely framed photograph of Everton's first cup win all the way back in 1884. Behind me here in the cabinet on the table is a very special piece indeed that many of you will recognise. The boots of one Alan Ball, those beautiful white Hummel pieces, and a championship medal and an FA Cup medal in there as well. So be sure to take a look next time you're here at Hill Dickinson Stadium. I know there's a few pieces in the corridors as well, in the display cases downstairs, so keep an eye out. And I am very, very lucky that Brendan is on his way down here right now to join us back over at the Heritage Centre with a bag full of goodies for us to take a look at. A few of his pieces that usually stay under lock and key, and he's bringing them out for us to talk us through some of our great history. I'm really looking forward to this one. I hope you guys enjoy the show.
Marching down the Goodison Road.
One of Britain's greatest footballers.
Sharp, what a fantastic goal! And the Evertonians have gone berserk. Oh, yes, he's got it!
One Evertonians worth 20 Liverpudlians.
Oh, it's great stuff by Everton.
This is football heritage.
Hello everyone and welcome back to the Everton Heritage Show, brought to you by members of the Everton FC Heritage Society. And I'm joined today with a man with many credentials and many items. This is absolutely incredible. Mr. Brendan Connolly, Everton Collector. How are you doing, Brendan?
I'm good, thanks, Lewis. Yeah.
Yeah, cheers for coming in. I'm a bit overwhelmed by the sheer quantity of things surrounding us at the minute. And I'm going to let them be a little bit of a elephant in the room for a moment. I just want to go back to your first game. How did you start up with Everton? Where does your Everton story begin?
Okay. My dad unfortunately passed away when I was about 6, and I lived in a rugby league town, Widnes, similar to David France, of course. So I didn't really have an opportunity to get to the game until somebody took me for my 11th birthday. And the first game was Everton v Leicester in November 1968. And we beat Leicester City 7-1. So it was a great start. But of course, we don't win all games 7-1.
Yeah.
And after that, then my cousin, Mike Callagher, who was a big influence, he started taking me to the games, home and away, early 70s. So, yeah, really enjoyable part of my life.
Yeah. And you've been going home and away ever since?
Home all the time, yeah. Not so much away now, although I do love my trips abroad. But no, I tend not to go to many of the away games now in this country anyway.
Yeah. Well, that's 7-1 that you mentioned there. I did look that up. You had a plethora of players for your first game there. Gordon West in goal, LeBone, the Holy Trinity in midfield. And I believe Joe Royle got a hat-trick that day as well. I don't know how well you remember it, but
I think there were 5 or 6 different scores. Obviously, maybe 5 if somebody's got a hat-trick, but somebody else got their only goal on that day, didn't they? I can't remember who it was. Peter Shilton was in goal for Leicester, if I remember rightly, and I think he put a clearance straight to this guy whose name escapes me.
I'll look it up. We'll drop a picture in.
Yeah,
It's going in right now. Let's go. So would that era, your first game as a child, is that like your favourite Everton era? Is there any teams that stand out to you over the years? Is that the one you'd reminisce about the most?
Certainly, my favourite time as a Blue would be probably. I mean, obviously everybody. I know anybody who went through the mid-80s would be fantastic. But the earliest great memories really were the side of the mid to late 70s with Bob Latchford, who was a real hero of mine.
Yeah.
So yeah, going to away games at QPR and Leicester and scoring 5 goals away from home.
Here's Dave Thomas, who made the second one with the corner for Everton. The fists of Parks. Dobson. Now Latchford, not his 4th goal, surely. Yes! And the 5th for Everton. Well, it's a riot. 4 goals for Bob Latchford. No wonder he can afford to smile like that. The other one coming from Duncan McKenzie, which in itself was a juicy one.
Fantastic time.
A lot of people have mentioned that recently, considering it was a period where we didn't win so much. Everyone talks about that 70s team as being one of their favourites, if not the best. You've been a season ticket holder, of course, haven't you? You sat in the Upper Gladys for a long time. Was that always your seat up there?
No, I think the first game I went to was in the stands, and it's so far away I can't remember which stand. But then when I started going regularly with my cousin, we started off in the enclosure and the paddock, and then when I felt as though I could go alone, I started going into the street end, of course, for a bit more atmosphere, and then ended up back with my cousin in the paddock. Yeah.
Well, I've actually, I don't know if I've shown you this. I've actually got a photograph that I took of you in the Upper Gladys, just applauding the team after a match. But I don't think I ever sent that over to you. But that's another one I can drop in. I think you were with Carolyn that day. Yeah. But a nice little picture. One thing I'm curious about as well. You had some time with the run called Linnets.
Yeah.
Linnets, how's that pronounced?
Linnets, yeah.
The Linnets, yeah. You had quite a prominent role with those guys as well.
Yeah, well, I was a trust board member, so it's a fan-owned club, and I was a trust board member there for 4 years. Before I just, you have to apply to be re-elected every 2 years, and that was due in November of the year just finished, and I decided I'd give somebody else a go and see if they could do a better job than I did.
I know it was taking up a lot of your time, wasn't it? It did seem like a very important,
and it
busy
still
time.
is important to me. Yeah, and I go down now. Well, I've said I'll go down and volunteer every Monday and Friday at least. So yeah, I love watching the non-league football. I think it has a lot to offer compared to some of the things you see in Premier League days, which we won't go into, but there's a lot of aspects that people are not too keen about, aren't they?
Yeah, well, at least you don't have VAR to deal with down there. Referee's decision stands for better or worse, I suppose. Yeah. I think one thing we should mention, of course, is that whether a lot of people watching would know your face, of course, from your match day responsibilities in St Luke's. Yeah. So as a founding member, one of the founding members of Everton FC Heritage Society, could you tell us a little bit about St Luke's, the match day experience, how the exhibitions came about and where all that began?
Yeah, sure, yeah. Well, the society was founded in 2008, and a few years later we decided to try and put some displays on it in St Luke's. The driver of that really was Paul Wharton and George Orr. So we started off with some displays, and it just grew and grew from there, really. And then in later years, Richie Gillam got involved, Paul Kelly, Tom Regan, Reg Fletcher, Steve Blees, John Ingle all help out on match days. And yeah, it became a really enjoyable part of the match day experience, with people coming in from all over the world and visiting supporters coming in saying they wish they had something like that at their ground. So yeah, it's really enjoyable.
Yeah, it did seem to me like, especially towards the end, I mean, it became a lot more apparent, I think, towards the end of the Goodison's days, where it was getting so busy in there, and everyone wanted to be a part of making St. Luke's a part of their match day. And those guys who had their stalls, they've moved in. We're in the room that we're in now above the Blue House. They're still carrying it on, trying our best to bring it with us into the modern era. Yourself, you're just taking a back seat, chilling out a bit more these days.
I had a bit of a health scare just over 12 months ago, and that, along with the sort of logistical issues of getting stuff back into the new premises, made me decide to just take a step back there, really.
I think even the hassle of getting things in here today kind of proved the point of getting to and from, and you put so much effort in St. Luke's, and I've got to say, your table at the back of the room there was always kind of my favourite, probably one of the main reasons you go in. You know, all the amount of things that were on show there for people to come and see, and sign pieces for people to buy, and as you say, people would come from all over the world to enjoy it all and get a bit of our history. Obviously, just to kind of round off a little bit with the Heritage Society, you did spend a little bit of time as our chairman as well, the 2010s.
Yeah. I'm not sure how long, 5-6 years maybe.
Yeah, there was a few projects during your tenure that stand out. I mean, a couple include the rededication of the graves of Charlie Parry, and of course a member of our first FA Cup winning team of 1906 in Billy Scott. But I do think that one project in particular stood out a little bit above the others, and that was, well, can you tell us a little bit about honouring Inchy?
Oh, right, yeah. So we looked into the case for a couple of players who had played in successful teams but not played enough games to qualify for a medal. The criteria for qualifying for a medal in the 60s and 70s and 80s were quite strict. So, for example, if you didn't actually play in the FA Cup final, you didn't get a medal. You could have played in every game leading up to it, but you wouldn't get a medal if you weren't playing in the final. Inchy unfortunately got injured in that season with the infamous tackle from Brian Marwood.
Of course, that's 80, 84, 85.
Missed out on the Cup Winners' Cup final. So we decided we would try and get a medal for Inchy, and we wrote to UEFA, who sanctioned that. And as a result, we went to a jeweller in Switzerland, who were the jeweller that provided the medals for UEFA. And we managed to get a medal for Inchy and presented it with him on the pitch at half-time during the game, which was lovely. And Inchy was really quite touched.
I bet, yeah. He's spoken about it since. I mean, must have been such an honour for yourself to be able to hand that over at Goodison on the pitch, and it's really highlights the good work that the society have done over the years. I suppose there's a nice little segue here in that, how did you get the replica made?
Right, yeah. So I do actually have an original Cup Winners' Cup medal in my collection. So I had to send that away to Switzerland for them to cast, because I think they'd moved on to a different design by then. So that went away to Switzerland, and fortunately came back, albeit sadly a little bit damaged. But
oh, really?
Yeah.
But anyway, I suppose that's why they do stay behind glass most of the time, isn't it? I must admit. So I suppose that's the segue onto your memorabilia. I mean, we've seen a little bit already in the club shop. You've been kind enough to donate a few pieces to the club to put on display for fans coming into the shop and doing the tour and things like that. But I guess I want to know more about what you've brought with you today. And where do we start?
Well, I've tried to give it quite a bit of variety. So there's ephemera, photographs, cigarette cards, the items that you can see on display here, caps, a couple of medals and badges. The caps make lovely display items, of course. I'll start to talk you through them, and starting off with a very early piece of ephemera, to use the technical term for collectors.
Yeah.
So basically, ephemera is anything that's paper related. And here we have a notice from the Everton board about the rent dispute with Holding.
Wow.
So this is dated the 10th of October 1891, and well, I'll read a little bit from the start of the document. So it says, "Dear Sir, the Everton Football Club, owing to the grossly inaccurate reports and information which have appeared respecting above, we deem it our duty to inform you upon the present position, more particularly upon matters in respect of which it would be your duty to exercise your votes on Monday evening next at the general meeting." And it goes on to say basically that John Holding is demanding £250 per annum, and that it goes on to say that we do have other options, and this is the precursor really to the meeting which decided that there would effectively be a split, which resulted in us moving from Anfield and taking up residence at Goodison. So again, it's quite a brittle document. It's been folded a few times.
Yeah, I mean it's original. You know, it's old. It's old.
Yeah,
It's
over 130 years old.
It's remarkable, isn't it? It's
yeah.
basically another. You could argue it's Liverpool's history, like the beginning, the very start of the seed being planted for our neighbours.
Yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. That, I mean, how did you come across things like that? Do they just come up in auction and things, or
sometimes it's auction, sometimes it's private. I used to advertise quite a lot in the sort of free ads papers and different papers, and get quite a few leads from that. But this document actually goes on to state that they'd obviously done the research, Everton, and it's going into detail on what other clubs pay rent, and Aston Villa were top of the list at £175, Notts County £135, and then down to Bootle at 80, Burnley at 75, Stoke the same, down to Preston North End only paying £30 a year rent. So, you know, I think to be pushing for £250 when other clubs are paying £25 and £30 doesn't sound an awful lot in today's terms. But in those days, it was, you know, clearly a significant.
No, but it definitely tells the story, doesn't it? Yeah, you can see why there was a few. You can see why there's a few disgruntled members of the board there for sure. Yeah.
I think another thing worth mentioning is there's an excellent article on the Heritage Society website about the split that Peter Lupson has done.
Right. Okay.
You know, I would regard myself as a collector. I'm not as such a historian or a researcher. Peter does some wonderful research, and there's an article on there called "Across the Park," which goes into more detail,
of course,
on the split.
I mean, he wrote a book on it as well, didn't he?
Yeah,
I suppose so. Yeah. Good point.
And also the fact that the rent wasn't necessarily the only issue. There were other issues around politics and alcohol. So
of
for more
course,
detail,
the religious aspect as well, of course.
Yeah. So
Brilliant.
That's the first item.
That's absolutely fantastic. I believe you've got some Football League minutes as well.
Yeah, this is another strange one. So these are the Football League minutes from a meeting held on the 21st of November 1950. And we had a player called Billy Higgins. And at that time, so this is late 1950, at that time in Colombia, they were trying to set up a bit of a renegade league. Okay. And that became attractive to some players in England who were restricted by the maximum wage, because the league that they were trying to set up in Colombia was unregulated effectively, and they were throwing money at it, a little bit like, I guess, the Saudi situation these days. And Higgins,
it does turn heads. Definitely.
Yeah. So Higgins was contracted to Everton and decided to just rip up his contract effectively and go over to Bogota and see if the grass really was greener on the other side. And these minutes really relate to the fact that he had broken his contract. Wow. And he'd been suspended by the Football League, and he'd appealed that suspension. So basically what's happening here is the minutes say that having questioned Higgins on all the aspects of his case, decided that the suspension be removed. In the meantime, Higgins remains on the open to transfer list of Everton FC. The Commission also decided that no payment be made by Everton to Higgins in respect of the unexpired period of his contract from the date of his leaving the country. And in communicating the foregoing decision to Higgins, the chairman informed him that the Commission deprecated his action in breaking his contract with the Everton club. So that didn't go down too well, obviously.
No, and away he went.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And I believe that's another one that Rob Sawyer's done a piece on this one as well, hasn't he?
Yeah,
The lads going.
Why did you go to Bogota, Bill?
Well, I thought it would be a good move, and it would be security for my 2 children and my wife. So the money looked good. So I didn't see anything else at the time. So I just packed up and went.
What made you come back, Bill?
Well, it really didn't turn out the way I expected it. And I had to think of the wife and the kids again, and so I finally decided to come back home.
Have you got any plans for the future?
Well, I think the only thing, I haven't any other job besides soccer, so I think I'll apply for race disciplines, see what the FA have to say about it.
There's often so many responding kind of pieces by the historians amongst us that relate to so many of these. Yeah. My eyes being drawn to some autographs.
Yeah. These are
How old are they?
These are the earliest autographs I have. I don't think collecting autographs was a thing in the early days of football, or the very early days anyway. But these are from about 1906.
Goodness me.
And they're all in pencil, and they've been cut out of a book and then pasted onto the pages of an exercise book. Yeah. But we've got Joe Donachie, William Black, and interestingly, they're signed William Black, Everton FC, Liverpool.
Oh, okay, so they've got the location there as well, yeah.
There's Tom Booth and Harry Cook, who was the famous trainer of the time. Mm-hmm. And then on the back, there's Sloan, a guy who we're well familiar with. Abbott is on there twice. George Wilson, David Wilson. And then on another page, we've got Billy Scott, who we spoke about earlier, again signed at Everton FC Liverpool. Harold Hardman has even gone to the trouble of full signature with Everton FC Liverpool, and the date he signed it, which was the 20th of April 1906. And then there's Chadwick and Barmer, and on the back, Crelly, Settle, Jack Sharp, John Taylor, Harry Makepeace, Sandy Young, who scored the winning goal in the 1906 FA Cup final.
Of course, yeah.
Jack Elliott, who's the trainer, and Hugh Bolton. So yeah, I do have autographs of players who played before this, but they're on an older document, which was a menu card from the 1929 dinner at the Adelphi for the 50 years anniversary. But they were players that had signed in their later days.
Yeah, I remember I was lucky enough to actually to see that piece that you're talking about. You were kind enough to invite us round to your house a couple of years ago to do a little film on some of your memorabilia, and that piece from the dinner was in that with the autographs. It's quite remarkable how many signatures are in that, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
Absolutely covered from front to back. You could barely read the menu.
Yeah, I mean it's fantastic in that there are players who have signed that in 1929 who played in our first league game in 1888.
Yeah, it goes all the way back. If anyone wants to watch that, by the way, the Everton Heritage Society YouTube channel, I'll put the links in the description below and things like that, so you'll be able to find that. Really worthwhile. It was some really treasured pieces in there. But we have more here. So are these postcards? They look like?
So these are postcards from the early 1900s. At that time, postcards were a standard way of people contacting each other. Of course, no telephones in those days. So they were effectively the text messages or the WhatsApp of the day. And added to that, there were mail collections 3, 4, 5 times a day. So you could literally send a postcard to somebody in the morning and have a reply in the afternoon.
Really?
Incredible how.
I didn't realise that. It feels like
better the postal service was then.
The things we've lost, I suppose,
yeah. So, but the significance of these two items are that they're postcards, as I say, from the early 1900s, and they both include some sponsorship. So the first one, the top one, Everton AFC 1907, the headline on that one is "Oxo for Stamina," and they made some very bold and probably illegal claims. Certainly would be illegal these days. And at the bottom of the postcard it says, "The footballer's best friend is his Oxo. 15 First Division, 10 Second Division and 14 Southern League teams have trained on Oxo this season. Oxo is splendid for spectators also."
Brilliant.
So, some, as I say, some incredible claims there that Oxo seem to transform your life and your football career.
And by advertising, it's the 1907 Everton team there as well. Were they the cup winners, or am I looking at the cup winners beneath?
The cup winners are below. So the previous year, 1906, we won the FA Cup at Crystal Palace. And it says that at the bottom there, Everton Football Club winners of the English Cup. Sponsor on the top, Morris Evans Household Oil. And again, some interesting claims on the back. So Jack Elliott, who we mentioned on the autographs previously, who was the trainer of Everton, is quoted as saying, "I have used Morris Evans Household Oil for my players for 6 years and have found it to be the best and most suitable embrocation I ever used. I strongly recommend it to all footballers and athletes." So again, you can just picture some of the Everton players of the day lying on the bench with Jack rubbing into the legs Morris Evans Household Oil.
There you go. I wasn't sure. Yeah, I mean, I suppose this is before the days of shirt sponsors.
Yep.
So it's the way of bringing in some added income, I suppose, before you had it all the branding everywhere and before the banners around Goodison Park.
Yeah, there's another document actually that will pick up on sponsorship again.
Okay.
Again, an indicator of how times have changed.
Yeah, sounds good. Brilliant stuff. Now, is the next piece? Is it that photograph behind you there? That looks remarkable. Some great hats on show.
I'll take it out of the folder because the light may reflect off the folder. This is a fairly famous photograph of Everton from 1933. So this is another Everton FA Cup winning side. Yeah. And again, there was some sponsorship involved here. So there's a company called Weatherder who produced the raincoats, and you can see every player is wearing a Weatherder raincoat and hat that goes with it appropriately, and sandwiched in between, just visible, is the FA Cup there.
Yeah, you'd think they'd make the cup a little bit more prominent, wouldn't you, for that kind of a promotional shot? But the coats definitely take the centre stage, I think. There.
Yeah, and Jimmy Dunn in the front row, looking there a bit like Jimmy Cagney from one of the early American gangster films. Yeah. And to go with that is also a telegram. So again, a telegram was another for our younger viewers. Telegraph was another method of communication in the earlier days. So you'd go into a post office and they'd tap in the message, and then miraculously that would come out at the other end and be stuck onto a piece of paper and
the old text messages of the day.
Exactly, delivered to the recipient. And this one is to Albert Geldard of Everton at Wembley Stadium. Hearty congratulations to one and all. See you Wednesday, Weatherder. So again, that's a telegram from Weatherder to Albert Geldard at Wembley Stadium.
Oh, so
he's actually still at the stadium after winning the cup, and they've sent him that telegram. And again, another example of how efficient things were back in the day.
Absolutely. And Geldard himself was quite a prominent part of that team, wasn't he? And I remember he was the one who set up one of the goals in the cup final, didn't he?
Geldard, Everton's speedy right winger, is another hero of the conflict.
giving Langford a lot of trouble with his accurate shots, centres and corner kicks. From one of the latter, Jimmy Dunn gets Everton's third goal, and a little right inside from Glasgow puts the issue finally beyond doubt. The cup is Everton's, but there is some delay in claiming it.
He was in the England team at the time as well.
He was, yeah.
Keeping out Stanley Matthews from that wing spot.
Possibly, yeah.
I mean, no doubt, obviously, Stanley Matthews made his name and came into the team. But at that moment when we were winning the cup, it was Geldard that was playing for England.
And the next item again is related to Albert, and there's a press photograph there of Albert in his England shirt, and what they used to do was they would post the badge, and the players would often provide their own shirts, and then the badge would literally be stitched onto the shirt.
Oh, so they'd post the badge to the player at home, get your own shirt, and they'd have to stitch it on themselves.
Yeah.
That's remarkable.
So that's the original shirt badge in there with the photograph, and there's another one at the other side with the date, the 3rd of May 1935 on it.
That's absolutely superb. So, and where has that badge come from? So that's actually his badge, is it?
Yeah. So John Rowlands, who was a member of the society, unfortunately passed away a couple of years ago, and John's wife was kind enough to let me buy some of the stuff from the Albert Geldard collection, which John held. Yeah.
Ah, I see. So he held the collection. Yeah. Brilliant. I remember. Am I right in thinking that you have one? Well, I know you have other pieces from him, but the one that I always loved was the season ticket or the membership card from 1882.
Oh yeah.
I think that came from that collection as well, didn't it?
Yeah, John was kind enough to leave that to me
really?
when he passed away. Yeah. Which very, very touching.
Yeah, absolutely.
You should do that, yeah.
For sure. I mean, I made a membership card from 6 years before the league even began. I always thought that was spectacular. What are you lining up here?
So the next item is this. It looks a fairly innocuous little book. But
it's a modern one.
Yeah, it's modern. Not so many modern items in the collection actually, because modern players don't need to sell or really, they don't need the funds. But
because it's not history yet, I suppose.
No, to a degree.
Will this book be treasured in 100 years' time?
You never know, because this book was actually presented by Everton to Gerard Deulofeu on his joining the club.
Oh, nice.
So again, this welcome to Everton Football Club. Hello, Gerard, and welcome back to Everton Football Club. You are the 876th player to arrive permanently at this incredible club. And it goes on to state a lot of the important facts and figures that we all love. And of course, people say if you know your history, the club have clearly gone to quite a lot of trouble to ensure that players do know the history, because it goes on to look at different things.
Listing the achievements there.
It's a grand old team to play for, with the honours that we've got over the years. There's the homes of the Blues, the Goodison Park. There's an interesting little page where they've copied a lot of text messages and
that's nice.
Instagram or Twitter messages from when he came back, and they're all in that book as well. So a very personalised memento from the club.
Do you think they did
to
this,
the players?
Do you know if this was something that they did for many players? Was it a particular fondness for Deulofeu himself?
I'm guessing that, I don't know, but I'm guessing that they probably did it for most of the players.
The effort's gone in, hasn't it? It's clearly nicely presented.
So the greatest team ever there. But a nice touch from Everton, and say clearly trying to get people on board with the history.
So why doesn't Gerard have it?
I don't know.
Respectfully,
there's not many items that are modern in the collection, but sometimes I think players don't really value some of the things. I guess it is a job at the end of the day. So yeah, they don't value some of the things.
I suppose it got
passed on. And people probably ask them for things, and they'll pass things on. But,
and of course, people like yourself as collectors, it does mean something.
Oh, definitely
to you, you know. So fair enough. You know, at least it's in the hands of somebody who really appreciates it, and never know, maybe he'll come round for tea one day, have a flick through next time he comes back. What do we got next then?
The next one is just lean forward.
Right.
So here we have a Brian LeBon medal.
Yeah.
So it's a commemorative medal from the 1970 World Cup.
Oh wow.
So it's from the Mexican FA. I'm assuming that every player who played in the tournament was presented with a medal from the Mexican FA.
I see.
Significant in that Brian played, obviously, in those games alongside Tommy Wright and Alan Ball. An absentee, of course, was Gordon West, who, for sort of domestic reasons, decided he wouldn't go.
Okay.
And who would know what impact that had, because we played West Germany in the quarter-final. Gordon Banks had been injured, and Peter Bonetti played in goal.
Ah, right. I remember that story. Yeah.
England were winning 2-0 at the time and ended up getting beat 3-2. And Peter Bonetti, some say, was at fault for the goals. So who knows what might have happened had Westy decided to pack his bags and go to the World Cup in 1970. All ifs and buts.
What could have been, eh?
Yeah.
Could have been. But that's a beautiful medal. It's really...
it's a nice one.
Like you say, so you say that was presented to everybody that plays?
Yeah, I think every player in the tournament would have been presented with one of those, yeah.
Superb. Next on the list, we've got a treasurer's statement.
Yeah.
Now, the date of this caught my eye, at least.
Yeah.
The season ending the 31st of May, 1890.
Yeah.
Pre-Goodison Park.
Yeah.
Still playing at Anfield.
Yeah.
And what does this piece tell us?
Well, it tells us that some of the figures that we're talking about are incredibly low compared to these days.
Surprise.
So the players' wages for the season, every player's wages for the season, £2,059, £1.11.
Wow. That's for everyone collectively.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
far cry from...
It's not even a day's
football.
pay for most players these days, is it?
A couple of minutes for Cristiano Ronaldo, I think. Going back to those Saudi claims before.
Yeah.
It's astonishing.
Another interesting figure on that is amount received from advertising contractor for use of hoarding, £20.
Ah, I see.
So that was the sponsorship advertising of the day, and brought in the grand sum of £20 for the year.
For the £20 for the whole year.
Yep.
That seems remarkably low, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do we know who was advertising, or I suppose that's just a treasurer's report, just setting the prices.
I mean, again, interestingly, in that gate receipts alone were just over 5,000, and the players' wages just over 2,000. Okay. So, the players' wages about 40% of total income, whereas these days they're 80 or 90%. Probably, for lots of clubs, just unsustainable. But yes, much more frugal in those days.
Any note of the rent being paid on Anfield, or?
I think there is. Yeah, I think the rent was on here if I can find it. Rent £250. Now that may be so that could be they'd actually started paying the £250 to John Holding, or it could be that it's the rent for the ground and other items as well. I'm not sure,
but it could be a hint as to what was to come soon after.
Yeah,
that's absolutely amazing. And so this is, I mean, how did you get hold of something like this? I mean, I know it's going to be a question that I suppose you hear all the time for various things, but something of that age, would that not be like, I'd assume, as a part of a wider collection of?
I think I'm not sure. I mean, I've got most of the stuff catalogued, and if I referred to that, I could probably tell you where it came from. Off the top of my head, I can't. Although I think it came from another collector as part of a swap deal, maybe.
Okay. Just seems like something that may be part of the, the bookkeeping of the day. Yeah.
Yeah.
You've got some tickets, I believe.
Yes.
For memberships.
So this is what today we would call a season ticket, or what a few seasons ago we would have called a season ticket.
So this is similar to what I'd mentioned before, isn't it?
Yeah.
Goodness
so
me,
this one's
small.
from 1887-88.
Wow.
Tiny little thing. It's got the fixtures inside for the first team and what the reserves were called Everton Swifts. So it's got all the fixtures in there, as I say.
I didn't know that.
But again, an interesting little note in there on the first page, extract from rules. And it says that if the funds shall at any time be insufficient to meet the current expenses of the club, a levy shall be made upon all members who shall contribute proportionally to make good the deficiency. So basically they're saying, if we're getting financial trouble here, you're signed up to make good
you're bailing us out.
Yeah.
It's absolutely brilliant. And is this the first season? So 80s, first football season? The football league season, I should say, 87, 88.
It was the following season was the first league season.
Right. This is the one. This is the one before.
But the colours noted on here are blue and white halves, and the headquarters are the Sandon Hotel on Oakfield Road, and it lists the president as the guy who we've mentioned a number of times, John Holding, and the vice presidents and the committee.
Super.
So again, a lovely little document which has survived really quite well over the years. When you consider
for sure.
It's nearly 150 years old.
It's absolutely spectacular, and this is part of the reason why we all hate season tickets nowadays, being on your phones and stuff. This is such a valuable piece. I think one thing I'd like to point out as well. I remember when we did our just when you said they're being preserved and it's maintained so well. I remember a couple of people talking to me about when we did that film back at your house and we looked at the old pieces, and as you say, the ephemera, and they're so old. Someone had asked me about why we're not wearing white gloves.
Oh yeah.
But it's I suppose it's a bit of a misconception, isn't it? It's always used in films, but it's the kind of thing, because the pieces are so delicate, your fingers are more sensitive to paper, and you're not going to just accidentally tear and
ideally, I guess if you're talking over hundreds of years, then yes, there would be some damage from just the natural oils on your hand, but I'm not that
we're not
precious about them, to be honest.
You've got clean hands, and these pieces aren't quite as ancient as they feel sometimes, maybe.
No.
Brilliant. Right, well, what are we looking at here?
So this one is a little bit more modern. So this is exactly. What is it? It's a good question. It's a timetable. You see these often as an itinerary, but it's a sort of a combination of an itinerary and a programme. And it's for the Jack Price testimonial, a game played between Glasgow Rangers and Everton at Windsor Park in Belfast. And Jack Price was the secretary, I think it was, of the Irish Football League.
I see.
So Everton and Rangers went over there to play a testimonial game for him.
That's interesting. So he didn't have any connections to Everton himself,
not that I'm
necessarily?
aware of, no.
It does seem. I mean, it seems odd that the Irish. The Irish guy gets the Scottish and English teams to come over for the testimonial.
Yeah.
And what was the date on that one? Did you say? Sorry.
It's April 1946.
Okay.
So just after the war, and it's got the details of travel on the back, and inside it's got the teams listed, and it's signed by both teams. It's fully signed by both teams. So really nice item that, and that came from Harry Catterick's collection. So again, I was lucky enough to buy a few items from Harry's family many years ago.
That's amazing.
And this was in there amongst them. Yeah, so
I'm
really nice item.
The date of that would be, so Catterick would have been playing.
Yeah.
So he's up front, is
he?
He?
He's just down as centre forward, Harry Catterick.
So would he have got those signatures himself, do you think?
Yeah.
Wow, that's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Maybe going around the dressing rooms at full time.
Yeah.
Wow, absolutely remarkable.
So again,
who else is in the team there?
Nice
Green Olsh.
Burnett in goal. Jackson, Greenhalgh, Bentham, Humphreys, Gordon Watson, who worked at Goodison after he'd retired playing and coaching. Alex Stevenson, Johnston or Wainwright inside right, Harry Catterick centre forward, Nobby Fielding inside left, and Wally Boys outside. Inside left Fielding and outside left Boys, and Greenhalgh was the captain.
Love how it's got all the lists all the positions as well.
Yeah. And Torry Gillick actually playing for Rangers there after he'd left Everton. Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking about asking you about the Rangers team, but then I thought maybe there's not so many names as recognisable to us, but I'm glad there's one at least.
No, I'm sure our Scottish friends would recognise more than I would. Yeah, but yeah.
Now, does that bring us on to a few of these caps
that
adorn the table? They're very colourful.
So the first cap
where should we start?
is one won by Tommy Griffiths, who Everton signed from Wrexham in the 20s. It's from 1929-30, and it's got the Welsh Dragon on and FAW for Football Association of Wales.
Brilliant.
And most of these caps are in velvet with lovely gold braid, tassels and so on. So that one is from the home international tournament. So most of the internationals that the home countries played in the early days of football were home internationals. It was rare for them to go overseas. So England, Wales, Ireland and Scotland would play in a 4-team tournament. And this one is from the only game that Tommy played in that tournament. Wales lost all 3 games in the tournament. 4-2 against Scotland in Cardiff, 6-0 to England at Stamford Bridge, and then 7-0 in Belfast.
See why he may have wanted to get rid of it.
Yeah. So, this one is from the game against England.
Beautiful. It's kept the colour so vividly, hasn't it?
Yeah,
you think
lovely,
that after all these years they'd be much more faded, but they're.
Yeah.
I mean, all the caps are really, really nice.
Yeah, and that was a rare purchase from eBay. It's a good few years back now, but it's unusual to come across really good quality items on eBay. But that was one I was lucky to get.
That must be such a rare thing to just pop up. Do you have? How does it work? Do you have like alerts on, or does someone just send you a message? Or
no, I basically used to go. I don't go on as much now because I say it's getting even more rare to find really good items. But I used to go on every night and just search Everton, and plough through.
That's how the obsession works, isn't it? Yeah, one day it pays off.
Yeah.
Superb. Yeah, I love the red dragon on the front of that one. That's
nice,
absolutely brilliant. Is there? Are a lot of these from the home counties, like the home internationals? You said.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Well, they're all from the different countries. So we've got Wales, Scotland, England, another Welsh one, Northern Ireland, and the Republic of Ireland. And we'll talk through them as we.
Yeah. So there's a Scotland cap against Ireland, 1922.
Yep, SVI, Scotland v Ireland. The rampant lion on it in the gold braid, and the year 1922. It's not in the best of condition. It's seen better days. Looks like it's been on display at some time, and a little bit faded on the top. And it's.
I suppose that's what you'd expect in a way. I mean, I think the others stand out for being so well kept, but it's again, as you say, it's over 100 years old.
Yeah.
You know, it's still got that gold trim on it. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, and that was presented to Alec Troop for the game at Parkhead, which Scotland won 2-1.
Fantastic.
And then the next one is a Ray Wilson cap.
Really?
If only it were from the following year. It's West Germany v England from 1965.
Wow.
So unfortunately not his World Cup winners cap.
So close.
But
still,
But this was a friendly game in Nuremberg, and the year before the World Cup. Derek Temple actually played in the same game, made his only England appearance.
Yeah.
And I think set up the goal for Terry Payne.
He did. I've seen the footage. I tracked
I
tracked that goal down. I'll be able to throw that in now. That's good.
Kramer trying to find Talon. Talon deciding to try his luck at centre forward, with Rodenkamp moved to outside right. Jones. He's got Temple there with him. This is Temple. Script back, yes, to Payne. He scored a lovely goal. Scored by Payne with 9 minutes to go before half-time. England have taken the lead. And there we are, one or two England supporters. Terry Payne getting the congratulations from Ron Flowers.
When we're talking about so many things of this kind of age and going all the way back to, as you say, the 1800s, it gets harder and harder to find any footage and photographs that you can throw in for the relevant games. So yeah, the 65 game with Derek Temple.
And Derek, of course, is a good friend of the society. He supports us really well. Lovely guy, one of the nicest people you could ever wish to meet. It's always good to see him at our events.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Completely agree.
But yeah, that one was presented to Ray Wilson. Moving on, we've got a lovely, we'll call it scarlet, I think, today. A lovely scarlet and gold Wales cap, which was presented to Neville Southall for the 1987-88 season. Again, with the Welsh Lion on it. Super. And in splendid condition, that one. So that's
one of Nev's.
Lovely one to have.
One of Nev's. In fact, can we have a quick segue again here in that we always joke that Neville was the man who was probably the greatest player to ever pull on the red shirt, and indeed a red cap as well.
Scarlet.
Yeah. Sorry, you started so scarlet. We have got a copy of one particular shirt. Don't know how visible this will be on the cameras from that set. Now you've got one of these as well, haven't you?
I've got a shirt from the final, which would belong to one of the outfield players. I've also got a slightly different red shirt that belonged to Neville. So I think it was late 80s. We played Sheffield Wednesday at home. And Sheffield Wednesday's change kit was green and white stripes, but like a Celtic shirt, horizontal green and white stripes. And because of that, then Neville had to change from his usual green shirt, and he wore a shirt which was mainly red, but it did have some grey and I think white in it. But yeah, I have that one as well.
Yeah, he famously wore in Rotterdam for the European Cup Winners' Cup. You've got quite a few shirts, haven't you? I mean, obviously I wasn't expecting you to bring any of those in today. Very precious. But,
I've got a lot of shirts.
Any of them stand out to you?
I've got shirts from our cup finals in 84, 85, 86, 89. I haven't got one from 95 yet. Still looking if anybody's got one tucked in the attic. But the shirt from the Cup Winners' Cup final, of course, is a special one. And lots of early shirts from the 70s and 80s. And match shirts right through to probably about 7 or 8 years ago when I stopped trying to collect every shirt variation that we wore, because there were so many variations coming in. I just thought it got a bit...
4 a season.
Beyond a joke, really.
4 different designs and stuff.
4 different designs, and then different sponsors, and FA Cup, League Cup.
Training gear.
You'd have had to have bought about 15 shirts to get every shirt that we wore that season. So I just thought,
call it a day on that one. But to be one I would like to point out is, of course, the one again going back to that film we did with Rob Sawyer, was that the shirt of Jimmy Dunn.
But the one from the 20s,
dates back to the 20s, Dixie's era. How on earth? Just remarkable. Absolutely fantastic collection. So there you go, a little bit about the shirts there. But back on to, well, do you know what? You've brought more in than I expected. There's plenty here that aren't even on my notes. So we can
rush through. So this is a Northern Ireland cap. One of my more recent acquisitions. Norman Whiteside auctioned off a lot of his memorabilia a couple of years ago, and I was fortunate enough to get a couple of his Northern Ireland caps.
It's absolutely beautiful.
I always try to get caps from the time that they were with us. So, obviously Norman played for United for a while and before moving to us. So there are a number of caps in that auction, but for me it was important to get one from when he was with us rather than at United.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's another nice one. And then the final one of the football caps is one that was presented to Jimmy O'Neill. It's a Republic of Ireland, so it's got the FAI on it, and the number 1, which means not necessarily that he was goalkeeper, but that he played one game that year. So,
okay.
On the
so
caps,
were they presented like for the season? This is not like they did one every
sometimes,
game.
Sometimes they would be presented for the game, like the Ray Wilson one, West Germany v England.
Yeah.
This one, Scotland v Ireland. The Welsh FA in particular, I think, were not exactly strapped for cash. They weren't too well off at times, struggled a little bit, and sometimes they would issue a cap for the season regardless of how many times you played. So yeah, and I think that changed over the years as well. So sometimes for the season, sometimes for the specific game.
So it's nice that they specified how many games. I say it may have only been one, but it almost makes it more special, that doesn't it? You know, there's your one appearance.
Yeah, and Jimmy's son Mike was another regular visitor to St Luke's.
Okay.
But this is a cap again. I was lucky enough to pick up at auction because I've been looking for an Ireland cap for many years. I'd had England, Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland, and having a bit of Irish heritage as well. I was keen to get a Republic of Ireland cap, so when that came up at auction, it was a must-have, really.
Yeah. So you say that's the end of the football caps?
Yes. Another I love the sort of novelty items. So this is a novelty one. So this is an Everton cricket cap. So in the late 50s, Everton out of season would play cricket, and they certainly played. I know they had an annual game against Yorkshire Imperial Metals at Bootle.
Okay.
And they'd sometimes play Liverpool side, I think. But they've obviously put together an Everton cricket cap, so it's got the crest on it. And this one was awarded to Jimmy Tansey. I've actually got two of these. One I bought off Frankie Connor, who was a DJ on Radio Merseyside,
right.
And he'd had that cap. I think the other one was Albert Dunlop's. I think was the one I bought off him. So yeah, it's another novelty. It's very rare that you see them.
Yeah, I had no idea they played cricket. Was that, I assume, just kind of going back to the original days of football being, your cricket being your summer sport for the football teams.
True, yeah.
Just to keep fit.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely remarkable. I love that one. That's
good,
great. Really nice design on the front there. Would they have worn that while they were playing?
I would imagine so.
Because that's the difference with cricket, isn't it? It's not just the cap to commemorate, but actually as part of your uniform. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And then moving on, we have the plaque, which is the Charity Shield plaque. Yeah. Could do with a polish, really. The silver comes up really well if you polish it, but didn't have time before I came out, I'm afraid.
I know, you're forgiven.
So this one is from the Everton-Liverpool game at Goodison in 1966.
Wow.
And, of course, that was famous because Everton had won the FA Cup, Liverpool had won the league.
Yeah.
And England had won the World Cup with Ray Wilson and Roger Hunt. So on display that day at Goodison were the Charity Shield, the main Charity Shield, a large plaque of which this is a miniature, and then the World Cup, the FA Cup and the League Champions trophy.
Superb.
And there's a famous photograph of those three trophies, I think.
Yeah, that iconic image of the three of them pitch sides. Yeah. I think it was the only place that was able to do that, wasn't it, really? Of course, obviously, at the time, with it being the World Cup year, the Merseyside teams being the ones that have won the rest of the trophies. Yeah. No other city was ever going to get a World Cup in it.
Yep.
So, very iconic.
Unfortunately, we lost that day to Liverpool 1-0.
I wasn't going to mention that. I wasn't going to mention that. But still, a beautiful piece, though. Yeah. Really poignant, significant thing. I love it.
Yeah.
Absolutely superb. So what are these then? Are these badges, the little stars?
Yeah,
there
so these were quite popular in the late 50s, early 60s mainly. They were produced and sold outside the ground. So there's players Alex Scott, Fred Pickering, Tony Kay.
Nice.
Alex Young.
I've got Sandy Brown over here.
Yeah, Brian Harris. And Jimmy Gabriel. So, yeah.
It's nice that, I mean, obviously people still collect little pins and badges today. You know, the amount of guys you sell outside the ground. Tom with his stall in here as well. They're really, really popular. You see all on the scarves. So it's nice that they've gone all the way back. Or they've stayed all the way through, I should say.
Yeah.
But there have been many pins and badges before this. Are these some of the oldest?
Yeah, I mean, some of the badges are really collectible. And in fact, I've got a much earlier one. But the enamel badges in particular are very collectible. Some of them are sell for hundreds. Some of the earlier football badges. And these are not as valuable. The one that we move on to next probably is actually, because this, again, is another one from 1907. And it's got the Everton Cup winning squad with the FA, the original FA Cup in the middle. But, you know, again, for something like that, it's just a tin plate badge with a paper insert. For that to survive for 120 years, basically, is in that condition. It's
I was
really
about to say, it's all the faces still so vivid, clear. You can easily pick them out. Like you say, the text is spot on.
So it's a really nice little item.
It's absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I hadn't realised that they went back that far, really. I always thought of pins and badges as being quite a modern thing. The fact that you've got something from 1907, that is absolutely superb.
Yeah.
But if you look to like 1938, I believe it was, when the club badge as we know it now with the tower on it, that appeared on a club tie, didn't it, before it was ever on any badge on any shirts.
That's right, yeah.
But apparently they were selling some badges then as well. So 38, I always thought was the closest to.
There are some badges earlier than that, not Everton badges as such. Actually, I'm contradicting myself now, because I do think I have an earlier one, which is not unlike that in design. It's a star badge with Everton on it, but there's no crest other than it just says Everton FC, I think, on a small blue star and a stick pin. The badges were certainly on sale in the club shop through the 40s. Not sure when they were first produced.
So it's hard to date them.
Yeah, it's difficult to say really on the badges. But yeah, there are earlier badges, but I'm aware of another one from the 30s, which is an Everton shareholders badge well, but again, no crest on it.
So that brings us on to that little scarlet box.
Yes, scarlet, yes.
And what's in here?
So this is, it's not a medal of any great significance, really, but it brings back memories for me in particular. So this is Stadium Feyenoord Rotterdam, the Rotterdam tournament in 1978, which I actually went to. This medal is another participants medal. It was presented to Jim McGregor. Again, Jim sold some of his stuff at auction a while back, and I was fortunate again to get this medal. But the significance for me is, as I say, I went to the tournament at De Kuip in Rotterdam. We're playing Feyenoord in a 4-team tournament, I think, possibly Santos and somebody else, I can't remember exactly who. But the interesting thing is I was walking around the back of the stand and had a denim jacket on, as you did in the 70s, with loads of Everton patches stitched onto the denim jacket. And I was stopped by a couple of Feyenoord fans, and they wanted to swap one of the badges, the cloth patch badges, off my denim jacket. And as we were chatting, a bit of a group started to build up round me, all Feyenoord fans, and I was trying to get this patch off that had been well stitched on, was struggling, and the guy said, "Leave it to me," and he pulls a knife out of his pocket, and you can imagine what I'm thinking, surrounded by a lot of Feyenoord fans, and he just plucks the badge off, breaks the stitches with the knife, and I breathe a heavy sigh of relief and escaped. But yeah, that's just a little story behind that.
Well, breathing a sigh of relief, as you say. Thankfully, you're here to tell the tale.
Yeah.
I'm wondering what else we've got. One thing we should point out, really, people will be wondering why we've got a Benfica pennant. Of course, Everton on it. Tell us where this one's come from.
Yeah, so this was one I bought at auction. There were a few pennants that came up 10, 15 years ago. I think they must have come from an Everton director. I never did get to the bottom of where they'd come from. But this is a lovely pennant. I really do like the Portuguese pennants. They make a great pennant. Sounding really sad now, aren't I? But
give it a
this is one produced by Benfica for the Teresa Herrera Trophy in August '87 against Everton. So these are the match exchange pennants that they swapped just before kickoff.
Well, I was gonna say I don't remember. I wasn't born, but I don't remember hearing much about Teresa Herrera Trophy.
No,
was it not so?
No, it's just a pre-season tournament.
A pre-season one, right?
Yeah.
I see. Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Really.
Yeah,
nice.
they're lovely.
Really nice.
The match pennants. So I really do like them. Yeah.
They don't do that often enough anymore, really. Are they still common? I mean, you don't see them.
They tend to be common in European games. So you'll normally, if you're watching the Champions League or the Europa League, you'll normally see them exchanging pennants before kick-off, and then they just probably throw them to one side, unfortunately. Yeah.
Well, fair enough. Well, I'm looking around. Is there anything else that that you'd like to point out? I mean, that's where my list comes to an end.
Yeah.
But I've no idea really what you've.
I think that's it really, other than just again, cigarette cards, things that were very collectible in the early days of football.
Oh, goodness me, what a collection that is.
These are all Everton players, of course.
Yeah.
So, it's just another area of collecting.
And again, these were the kind of things that you would have on display when you were in St. Luke's as well, or is that one a bit more... Yeah, that was... Yeah, I mean... There was so many things on that table where people could come and take a look. How did you decide what was, I don't know, acceptable to be put in front of the public? Really, was it a safety thing or? It
was a combination of things, really. Yeah, security was obviously a big concern. So and things needed to be not too bulky, because either you'd have to leave them at St. Luke's where might not be secure as you'd like, or try and take them into the ground, and then they got much tighter on taking bags into the stadium, so it became more and more difficult to take items for display.
Yeah, well, I've got to thank you very much. I mean, both for everything that you've brought along today, and the stuff that you've done in the past for us, obviously for the Heritage Society and St. Luke's as a whole, bringing people in on a match day and that atmosphere that was such a big part of everybody's routine for so many years at Goodison Park and on Goodison Road. So, did you enjoy it?
Yeah, I really did enjoy it. Yeah. It's been a pleasure. It really has. Yeah, and the best part of it was meeting and chatting to people. People. Things like this are great conversation starters, aren't they? The cigarette cards, people. I remember when my dad had them, and one of the sort of disappointing things is often people would say to you, "Oh, if only I'd have known, because I used to have this," and long gone,
Yeah,
and it's similar
the near
with the
misses,
medals,
I suppose. Yeah,
similar with the medals. Before people collected the medals, which is only 30 years or so back, people really started seriously collecting. You wonder how many have been melted down for the gold value.
Gosh, yeah.
Which is heartbreaking, really, But
I never really thought about that. Yeah, I always think that they're just out there somewhere, but yeah, perhaps not. Perhaps not. I suppose I've got a question that you may not have an answer for, but would you want to put any of this on exhibition? Would that ever be a possibility, or a thought in your mind at least, or?
Excuse me. Yeah, certainly. There's some stuff, of course, in the club shop on loan now. I've had stuff on loan in the Liver building.
Of course, yeah.
Stuff in Liverpool Museum, even in the Beatle Museum. Would you believe there's some Everton memorabilia?
What's in there?
Well, they're doing a display that they started, I think, in about November, where they're featuring famous people from Merseyside, not just
Right, I
Beatles
see.
and
Yeah.
musicians, but football people. So there's a couple of Alex Young items, a couple of Dixie Dean items, and a couple of Howard Kendall items.
Brilliant.
That are actually on display in the Beatles Museum.
Yeah, I forgot to mention the Liver Building exhibition, because that was slightly, well, a few years before I joined the society, so I didn't get to actually see it myself. I wasn't living in Liverpool at the time, but I heard it was absolutely spectacular. How did that come about? Was it the whole floor, or?
It was just discussion with the club, and they wanted to lend some memorabilia, and they had display cases when they took over that part of the building.
Yeah.
In the Royal Live buildings, and I loaned them quite a lot of my memorabilia, which was on display. Unfortunately, then COVID came along, and there was nobody in the building. Nobody was working there. So I thought it was a bit of a security risk to be left in an unattended building, and took them back really. So.
Well, it brought an end to quite a lot of things, didn't it? COVID, unfortunately. But I do remember. I mean, there was a few. I'm seeing a few items in the cases along the corridors, at least.
Yeah,
and
they're
things like
increasing.
that. There's a few bits.
The offer's always open to the club if they want stuff. Yeah.
Well, fingers crossed. Yeah. I mean, one of the things over your shoulder, just to distract, not a part of your own collection, but of course to differentiate from the Everton collection, which obviously Dr. David France has put together. We get a lot of questions about these things, don't we? About where they can be seen, if ever. But at the moment, still a who knows.
Unfortunately, it is. Yeah. We as a society, we've been pushing for many years to try and get the Everton collection on display somewhere publicly that where it can be appreciated as it should be. I know David France is keen to do that, and obviously we are too. So hopefully we can make some progress in that area in the near future.
Yeah, completely agree. Well then, normally this would be the part of the day where I say, let's go the game, and I'd be asking you for your predictions. But of course, we're here on a day when there's no matches on. It's nice and peaceful in here, apart from maybe the sound of the rain over our heads. But we do have a nice evening ahead of us anyway. We're going to go down to the Denby Castle and have a drink, have a nice heritage social evening.
Yep.
with Paul McParland telling us about the 1987 league winning team. So thank you again for bringing all of this in. It's been absolutely brilliant. And
pleasure, Lewis. Thank you.
Yeah, I know it's been a big effort. So let's go and enjoy our evening. Thanks very much, Brendan.
Thanks again.
Cheers.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Thanks for watching, everybody. We are indeed down here at the Denby Castle tonight for Paul McParland's talk on the 1987 Cup-winning team, league title-winning team, I should say, and his book, which we did discuss on the Heritage Show, actually, a few months ago. So go back retrospectively, watch those. You can watch all of our episodes at any time. They're evergreen. But yeah, what a programme that was today. That memorabilia absolutely blew me away with Brendan Connolly. I was absolutely delighted to get him in, finally. You can, of course, go back and watch his show on, his film, the Everton Heritage Society YouTube channel. This is the Heritage Show channel. We've got the Society YouTube channel as well, where there are some films. I'll put the links in below. Make sure you go and watch that, because there's even more pieces that he keeps under lock and key that rarely see the light of day. So well worth checking out. What else? I mean, of course, the usual. Give us a like, subscribe, give us a comment, and tell us what you thought of some of those amazing pieces today. Patreon. Get onto the Patreon if you want to help support us. You can get onto there for free and see everything all in the one place, but also you can donate there as well and help support the media side of the Heritage Society. Otherwise, it's the usual stuff. Social media, at Everton Heritage. We've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, obviously. And then we're on to the match day programmes. EFCHeritageSociety.com for all our tickets, for our social events, and for things like the programme articles, which are, as I say, in every single programme. every single Everton home programme. This most recent one being the match-fixing scandal of 1917-18, written by my dad Mike Royden. A bit of a controversial one between the two clubs, but all confirmed to be true. You can read that online at efcheritagesociety.com for all our programme articles. As I say, go and pick up the actual copies. Come into the new St Luke's above the Blue House where we were today. You can buy all of the programmes in there as well. But yeah, website and the social media to find tickets for things like this tonight. Come along, and we'll see you at the next one. Thanks very much.
Heritage.